Okay, right. I won't take very long with this, and I apologise. You're probably all sick of hearing about Net Manchester now, especially if you came to the IX Manchester event yesterday. It was mentioned a lot. Net Manchester is a regular social meetup for networkers in Manchester. Very, very simple. The reason this came about is a tweet by Tom Seddon, who was... And I should preface this actually by just saying that in Manchester we have a meetup for almost every single technical discipline at least once a month. Anything you can think of, there is a meetup for it. There's about every programming language, user interface design, general tech meetups that are cross-discipline. So why wasn't there a NetMcr meetup? Should we start one? And I was the fool, maybe, possibly, I'm not sure, that replied and said, yeah, hey, that's a good idea. I didn't think there were enough of us. So we've, this was 16 months ago. Since I think July, I think was our first one last year, we've been doing a monthly meetup of the same sort of ilk, and we've tried to distribute a little clue along the way. The way we've tried to frame this, though, as well, by catching as much as we can is, and doing as much as we can, is to also frame this as an opportunity to get into networking and to learn more about it. And one of the bigger problems, and you probably all know this already, but there are, networking can be a bit of a dark art, and there are many other disciplines in developers, programmers, sysadmins who are, with the rise of newer methodologies for rolling out code and software and using, you know, your configuration is your code. We have the opportunity here to try and get some of the information that we all have here at UKNOF over to people on a more regular basis. So we use it as an opportunity to get into networking as well. There's a few midweek beers. I wasn't sure whether or not it was the right thing to do, holding this in a pub, but actually I don't think I would have got as many people turning up the first time around if we hadn't done it that way. But if anyone is driving or drinking isn't their thing, don't worry at all, because you'd be more than welcome, and there are plenty of non-alcoholic beverages where we are. As I say, a few clueful presentations, and we try to do this every month. It is a little bit of a struggle sometimes to get content in, but we do our best, and so far it has been very fruitful. Sorry. What it isn't is very long. We only start at 7 o'clock, so you can come straight after work, and we're finished before, usually around about 9:30, such that we can give the room back at the pub to the regular drinkers as well. It isn't sponsored, and one of the reasons I was really adverse to taking any sponsorship money or anything like this, because people have offered, was because we do have quite a lot of rivalries amongst local companies in Manchester. And one of the things that I've always wanted to say, and I do say at the beginning of every meeting, is it doesn't really matter who you support as a football team or who you work for or where you went to university or any of these things. You're in here as an individual, and having any sponsorship, I didn't want to deride that at all. I didn't want to add any bias. We have had to do a little bit of begging and borrowing, notably of which Spaceport are very, very, very kind to lend us a projector once a month, so that gives us a way of doing that. Again, we also wanted to try and avoid sales, advertising, recruitment as not so much to exclude people in those professions, because it is kind of important that they can come along and join in and learn more about networking if they need to, or if they'd like to, but making it sort of a salesy event, making it a, hey, I'll buy everyone at the bar a beer, try and discourage that a little bit, because we don't really want it to be about that. We want it to be about the tech and the little bit of community that we've created. The competitive part kind of leads on to the respect policy, which is something that we were very, very adamant that we needed to do. Publish a policy of respect up at the top of the website, and it applies to everyone that turns up. Everyone is welcome, and I've possibly been caught shouting at people once in a while for saying slightly inappropriate things. If you do plan on attending, please do read it before you come. So, a couple of pictures. This is just from stood behind the bar there. You can see the little kitchen in the back on the left, and Marek, just about make out Marek there, giving a presentation to a very engaged audience. I think that was January last year, actually. Simon Gunton, with a pint in hand, I think it was a pint of cider or something, doing the presentation, the first iteration of the presentation that you've just seen, which is really good. I'm glad he was able to stand up here as well. We've managed to get quite a few people who have been new to speaking. I've managed to somehow encourage them to stand in front of a room full of people, asking pointed questions at them. But they all seem to enjoy it after they've done it once, so that's very good, and hopefully more of it will feed into UKNOF as we go along. There was that one time where the projector didn't turn up for an hour, but it didn't seem to matter. We were a little bit late starting, but everyone just sort of, mumbled around and had some good chats and drank a little bit more beer instead. And we did eventually get started in that evening, and the chap that's there talking is Ashley Nurkham from Errorhive, who came all the way from Southampton up to do a talk, which I thought was really great. So, we've managed to drag in some really cool content. We had Andy Sutton last month. I didn't have a chance to get this picture in of it. We had Andy Sutton from BT talking about 5G services, very similar to Neil's talk earlier today. So, really quite cool stuff. But what do we need? We need a little bit of extra help. You may have seen in the early days, UKNOF allowed me to use the main UKNOF mailing list to get this off the ground and get it out there and get a few more people, more than I knew, get the word out to them. And we now have our own mailing list, so I can stop spamming all of you that aren't interested and don't live in Manchester anymore. But the main important thing with that is, if you are still interested in it, please do sign up to our mailing list. It's on the website, it's on the sidebar down on the right. It's not the best on a mobile browser, so please use a laptop. I have looked into fixing that, but my time to spend on coding has been a little limited. I do announce the same sort of things via Twitter as best one can, and of course a little bit of word of mouth there would be really great. Any retweets if you fancy. But one of the main things that I suppose that I've really tried to do is to try and keep this on the tip of everyone's tongue. If they have friends who aren't necessarily regulars at UKNOF communities or anything like this, those are the people that we really need to try and encourage more to come out and talk to other network operators and to learn a little bit more. People that might be interested in networking from a development or sysadmin role. Colleagues as well, I was really thinking actually, like, this is kind of like free training for your NOC teams, effectively, the fact that we do it after work, does allow for more of your team to take days out. I mean, they're not taking a day out to come to a whole UKNOF event. You don't have to send, you don't have to empty the NOC room and send them off to UKNOF. They can come after work. They're all more than welcome. Anyone of any skillty, please do let them know. The call for presentations is always open. I have been probably badgering some of you to death over the last sort of 10 months or so, and I'm sorry about that, but yeah, I'm desperately trying to get presentations in for these events, and of course the next event is no different. So not much more. The next events will be held, funnily enough, on the second Thursday of May, the second Thursday of June, and the second Thursday of July. If anyone asks when the next one is, I will refer them back to this slide. If there are any questions, please put your hand up, but you are more than welcome to ask me out in the foyer whilst we're enjoying a beer, if you wish. Good people.
I would strongly encourage you to ask questions now. No. And the reason is because the beer isn't ready yet. There's a question at the back.
There is
a question. We get a mic to the
There is one thing that I failed to mention, I think.
Tom failed to mention something. Hang on, stop.
After you.
We hold it at 57 Thomas Street, which is the one thing I forgot to say. But yeah, that's the upstairs bar at 57 Thomas Street, and they let us have the whole thing for free, which is really nice. So like when people come in and they buy cheese boards and they buy beer and stuff like that, as long as we have like a half decent spend behind the board, they're really happy to let us have this room for absolutely nothing, which is awesome. So if your question was that, well, I've just answered it, but otherwise, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. It's because we were told we had to ask questions. So, do you know when the beer's going to be ready?
Well, Mike, can you help with that one?
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
Oh God, I've got to dance up here for 15 minutes. What's going on?
No, I think what we can do is we can let you off the hook actually, because there's a case of here's. No.
Come at me.
No. Hang on. Respect policy. We're not allowed to hold people kidnapped. You know. I think it's a really good example of Manchester as a whole in terms of the tech community of stuff like this. Follow them on Twitter at @net_MCR. It's a really good example of the community spirit in Manchester that we're allowed to use that bar for free as long as we spend some money in it.
So good.
And I think that's fantastic because it's not just us that use that in summer sales. I mean, Net Manchester.
I think PHP Northwest use the same place on a different night in a month as well.
Yeah, they do. So yeah, it's actually really, really cool. So if there are no more questions for Tom, I'd like to thank Tom for coming and telling us about Net Manchester and the networking community that we're working to build.
If
here
you
in
all
the
sign up for the
Northwest.
mailing list, I'll leave you alone and I'll stop mentioning it.
Yeah,
and I'll stop paying Mike to mention it as well.
Net Manchester. Yeah, okay. Right. Thank you very much, Tom.
No worries.
Thanks very
Thank you
much. And a big thank you to our other speakers from the local area. So that's Simon and Marek, particularly from the local community.